Welcome to the OTech Talks podcast, where it's all about working on technologies. You will hear the latest tech information, and your host, Kashif Manzoor, brings together product overviews, how-tos, best practices, tips and tricks, and troubleshooting techniques.
Welcome to OTech Talks podcast. Your host Kashif Manzoor is here with you. Today, session number is 83. However, today we will start a new audio series to learn essentials of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Over the past few years, what I thought was whenever I'm going to the gym or jog for a jogging or on a long drive, if you're going to office or somewhere else, and I always thought to listen something which will give a new fruit of thought. So usually I was listening to podcast. That's how it led me to start this podcast back in early 2005. And at that time, and sometimes you also want to listen music or songs. That's also okay, and that I was also doing it. However, if you have a drive more than 1.5 hours or 2 hours or 30 minutes, 40 minutes, where sometime you want to spend some time on listening something else. And even I was listening some of the other, thought-provoking podcast, number of from, famous podcasts were available. So what I always, in my mind, it comes that, okay, there should be something on technology or any topic which I like it. And most recently, I was listening there was a podcast on artificial intelligence. So I started listening to that one. And but now from last one year, almost 1 year, due to pandemic, due to COVID-19, we are not traveling so much. And that's why I think nowadays I'm listening only podcast when going for gym or jogging or playing something. So it's a good exercise. It's a good one. A lot of people do it. So wherever you are, what I think it was maybe 6-7 years back, always it comes in my mind that there should be some technology oriented, like a series of sessions. It should be like a course, or it should be like covers all the basic topics. Maybe it will give me a revision, or it will give the basics of any technology. Either it's an Oracle database or any other cloud computing or ERP applications, how to implement and all that, and experience. So keeping in mind, and when I started in year 2021 with the new goal settings, so I focused on 3 key areas, rather than various topics. And those topics were: 1, Oracle technologies, where I'm doing day-to-day my work. 2, AI and ML data science, where I'm doing an MSc as my part-time or evening or the weekends work. 3rd is digital transformation, because all the first and second point are leading to the digital transformation, and where the organizations are going and why we are doing all this one. So, and I've discussed the rationale behind in detail during my earlier session. If you are not new to the show, you must have listened it. Otherwise, some of the sessions, I think around 72 session numbers, where we spoke on these areas, that in future I will be trying to focus on these 3 areas. Now, today we're gonna start a new session, and I'm hoping that it will be 6 to 8 sessions on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, because the way the future is heading, and as per the Gartners, that a number of organizations will be going to start using and moving a lot of their workload or their online on-premise applications and their systems to the cloud. So this is the right time to get the basics set, and your knowledge refresh on how to set it up, what are the fundamentals or essentials on the cloud. Apart from typically you listen SaaS, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a services, but those are the primary categories of cloud computing. But eventually, what are the insights and what is insight? That's important. So if you're into the show, Open Tech Talks or OTech Talks is your weekly sandbox for technology insights, experimentation, and inspiration with primary objective of learning and sharing. And whatever I'm doing it, I'm basically documenting. I'm not doing separately anything. So that's how I'm doing myself. I'm learning any new technologies, and I'm just documenting it. If you are observed it on my blog, that I try to do it like a fresher. So it's a fresher insights that whatever the challenge issues I'm facing it, I'm just documenting and putting it on sharing with you. So welcome to everyone of you to podcast wherever you are. If you're driving, have a safe drive, and remember, leave sooner, drive slower, live longer. That's a famous quote. And if you are at gym for a workout, or if you're jogging outside with your dog or with your kids or playing, reading is to the mind, and what exercise is to the body. So that's another famous quote. So keep doing it. Thank you so much for listening. You are the inspiration for me. Your feedback and comments are the force behind this journey, frankly. And keep hearing it. Whenever you get a time, please rate this podcast on the iTunes. That helps to improve the rating. And now I thought to do this audio series because even with this Clubhouse, a new social media app which is only on the audio, that led me to rethink the approach on learning point of view. And I'm targeting also that whenever I'm driving, I'll put it on this one, and then I will refresh my knowledge. So let's start the journey of learning Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. We will have, I think, 6 to 8 sessions on Oracle OCI, where we will go into detail for the fundamental concepts, starting from the basic terms and the setting up VCN, which is Virtual Cloud Network. And what I'm trying to do is to record an audio and video in both formats separately. In the video, when I'm doing my some exercise, so I'm just recording it and putting it on YouTube. So if you want to watch like a demo, and how you will configure it, you need to go to Tech Talks YouTube channel. And if you're on the road, driving or jogging, let's take a ride on to learn. Now, when you will sign into or sign up to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, you will have the tenancy. It's like a tenant. If you're renting a house, or if you're renting staying somewhere. For example, I'm staying in Dubai, so if I'm staying in apartment, so I'm being a tenant, which I'm paying basically monthly rent, right? So similarly, in the cloud, you will have a tenancy. So what, as a cloud vendor, they will create a tenancy for your company, for your organization, basically, in which is a secure and isolated partition within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. You have the full, I think, what we call is full availability or full administration, full control. Whatever you can create, organize, and administrate your cloud resources. So similarly, if I'm staying in apartments, I am a tenant, so I have a full liberty, whatever I'm gonna do within the apartment. And now within the tenancy, if we will relate this tenancy to, then the next concept basically is compartments. And these compartments basically, like an apartment, you go for bedroom, kitchen, lounge, TV lounge, and the different parts. So compartments allow you to organize and control access to your cloud resources. So a compartment is a collection of related resources. For example, instances, or a virtual cloud networks, or block volumes that can be accessed only by certain groups that have been given permission by an administrator. So you can group together based on projects. For example, if you're doing a one project in ERP implementation on ERP, then you can create a compartment that will have to host the ERP application. And a compartment is like a logical group. It's not a physical container or physical. And when you will start working on the resources, or then you will be able to view it. And Oracle will create a tenancy for you as a root compartment that holds all your cloud resources. And then on top of root compartment, you will be creating your additional compartments. And there are some best practices that based on your projects, based on your different infrastructure or workloads or systems, you will be creating a compartment so that you can assign the resources, you can administrate it, and it is easy to manage basically. And so that's what it is about compartments. And then the security zones, another important topic, or the basic essentials basically. Security zone is associated with compartment. So when you create and update cloud resources in a security zone, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure validates these operations against security zones policies. So if any policy is violated, then the operation is denied. So security zones let you what you have the resources, and then you do all the tasks based on the permissions you are getting from the security zones. Now, another important point is on a virtual cloud network. Now, before we will go into formal definition, so the cloud network is similar to, you need to take an example of your physical network. All right. In on-premise world, what we do as a network administrator, you set up your network, all right, based on you got the systems, infrastructure, all those instances, all those ones. So based on that one, you have your network. So similarly, in the cloud, it's called a virtual cloud network, is a virtual version of your traditional or physical on-premise network. It includes subnets, route tables, all those things it includes. And it provides you a customizable and private cloud network in Oracle OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, equal to your traditional data center network, complete control over your network environment. And it's a software-defined network that you can set up in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure data centers in particular region, the region which you got the tenancy. And subnet is a subdivision of VCN. So then what you do, you divide the VCN into subnets, and then we will go in more detail. Subnets, what are subnets, private subnets, and public subnets. But eventually, subnets you set up based on your different requirements. One subnet for example for application layer, another database or a bastion host, or another one for another application. So each application you want to put it into different subnets. And an instance is a compute host running in the cloud, which you are deploying on it. And then another concept is a shape. In compute instances, the shape specifies the number of CPUs and the amount of memory allocated to the instance. So instance is equal to how you will deploy a physical instances, like a process, like in on-premise world we used to say our server, right? So similar to that one, it's an instance which is equivalent to called as a compute. That comes with the shape. The shape is a memory of CPUs, and another basic concept is on the Oracle Cloud Identifier. So OCIT, it's a short form. So every Oracle Cloud Infrastructure resource has an Oracle assigned unique ID called an Oracle Cloud Identifier. This ID is included as part of the resources information in both the console and API. So OCIT, you will find in each and every resource in the infrastructure to call it as OCID, that what is the Oracle Cloud Identifier, the unique key of that resource. Another is key pair, how you will connect securely to the OCI. A key pair is an authentication mechanism. It's a technique used by Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. A key pair consists of a private key file and a public key file. So basically what you do when you upload your public key to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and you will keep the private key securely on your desktop or laptop, and the private key is private to you like a password. And key pairs can be generated different specifications, and we will go through in more detail. But primarily OCI uses two types of key pairs for specific purposes. One is instance SSH key pair. This key pair is used to establish secure shell connection to an instance. So when you provision an instance, you provide the public key, which is saved in the instance authorization file. And to log into instance, you provide your private key, which is verified with the public key. That's one of instance SSH key pair. Then you have API signing key pair, and this key pair is in the PIM format, PEM format, and is used to authenticate you when submitting API requests. Only users who will be accessing Oracle Cloud Infrastructure via the API need this key pair, and we will go in a more detail on these basic concepts. Now I will start another after these common terms, our first session on the networking, because I feel that is the basics of infrastructure, even if you want to do it on premise. So and then we will talk about other roles, security, and other mechanisms. So security, or what we call as the basics of infrastructures, are the network, how you will set up networks and all that. Now, before I will go to network, I just wanted to share with you that all the information is publicly available. So there's a disclaimer on this, that I'm using all the public information, and it's just for learning and improving and sharing the knowledge. And these are all general basic concepts. For detail, you need to go to the Oracle formal guides, formal documents, and I'm just sharing based on my experience and my study to refer to the standard documents. So it's just keep in mind, these are my personal comments, personal views based on the knowledge or the contents available on the public documents. So keep in mind, for any detailed level information, you need to go back and refer the formal guidelines, definitions, and on the OCI. I will try my best to refer as possible to the standard documents. And usually, even it's in audio format, but you will get all the links on the otechtalks.tv. So this is our first session of working on OCI, and overall, let's go into the networking essentials or fundamentals of networking, basically. And as we discussed, that this is the one of the first step on OCI, and in that one, the virtual cloud network, or VCN, is a private network, is equivalent to our on-premise physical network, and it's equal to traditional network, with the same level of firewalls and specific types of communication gateways that we keep in on-premise. So it's just in the OCI, we call it a virtual. It's a private network, and short name is VCN. So VCN resides in a single Oracle Cloud Infrastructure region and covers one or more CIDR blocks of your choice. Now the CIDR blocks will go in detail. And the term virtual cloud network, VCN, and cloud network are used interchangeably. So these are all talking about the same. And so these are the one of the first step is to set up a VCN on your cloud resources or on your cloud tenancy. So once you set up the VCN, you start setting up the VCN basically. Then another concept or the action item is, or the step is to subdivide this VCN, virtual cloud network, into different subnets. So subnet is basically subdivisions you define within a VCN. And subnets contain virtual network interface cards, which are commonly known as VNICs, which attach to instances basically. And each subnet consists of a contiguous range of IP address that do not overlap with other subnets in the VCN, because each subnet require VNIC require an IP, because from where you're going to access the instance. So you can designate a subnet to exist either in a single availability domain or across an entire region. And regional subnets are recommended, as from Oracle recommendations point of view. They recommend regional subnets. Subnets act as a unit of configuration within the VCN. All VNICs in a given subnet use the same route table, security list, and DHCP options. We will go in more detail what are these route tables and all that. And now the subnets can be public or private. Private means that VNICs in the subnet can't have public IP addresses, and public VNIC in the subnet can have a public IP addresses based on your requirement. So sometimes what we do for like a load balancer or any server which we want to put it on a public load balancer to access it, and our application and database and other instances, we usually keep it on the private subnet. So that now we referred it on VNIC, right? Another from the subnets when we were talking about subnets. So what is VNIC? So VNIC is a virtual network interface card, and this is attached to an instance, and it resides in a subnet. What it does, it enables the connection between to the subnets VCN basically. And this also guides us that how the instances we can connect, and with the endpoints inside and outside the VCN. Each instance has a primary VNIC that's created during instance launch, and we cannot remove it. And you can also add the secondary VNICs to an existing instance, and it has to be like a same availability domain as the primary VNIC. And we can remove them as you like. Each secondary VNIC can be in a subnet in the same VCN as the primary VNIC, or in a different subnet that is either in the same VCN or a different one. However, all the VNICs must be in the same availability domain, as the instance is there. So that's the key concept on that one. Then we definitely define the private IPs to the subnets, and these private IP addresses and related information are addressing an instance. For example, host name for DNS, each VNIC has a primary IP, and we can also add and remove secondary private IPs. The primary private IP addresses on an instance doesn't change during the instance's lifetime and cannot be removed from the instance. Public IPs, a public IP4 address and related information, you can optionally assign a public IP to your instance or other instances that have a private IP. A public IP can be either ephemeral or reserved. IP46, an IP address and related information. IP4 is currently supported only in the government cloud, and that's how it is used in that one. So with this, we will finish our first lesson or the understanding basic concept essentials. We discussed what are the common terms of OCI, and what is the backbone, like networking components, VCN, subnets, VNICs, private and public IPs. And tomorrow, with the next session number 2, we will start more concepts on dynamic routing gateway, internet gateway, network addresses, NAT, service gate, all type of NAT gateways, route table, security rules, and all that. What are those options available? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to the OTech Talks podcast, and be part of Tech Talks at otechtalks.tv. It's a turf to share ideas, insights, and innovations.